Yes.
Yes. John Peckman Podcast. Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, pull a Yui, park in the street. Well, not in the street. You know what I mean? Like, are you familiar with parking spaces? So we don't, I know Portland's a special place. We don't park in the street. We park on the, off to the side. There's the parking spaces. Park in the parking space in front of the music store. I don't know why I felt that needed an explanation. But you can have your own podcast here. You can be on the podcast with me. I would like you to tell your friends and family and neighbors and everything. And like and subscribe. Here today with new friend Luke Guilmette. Right?
Yes, that's right.
All right, cool. So we had a bandmate of Luke's here last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Mike Foley.
Yeah, Mr. Foley was here. And you are another part of, what are they called?
The Great Hill Mountain Band.
The Great Hill Mountain Band. And there is a Great Hill Mountain.
Yes, there is.
Around here.
Yes, there is.
Oh.
Yep.
That's cool. That's what I
in
learned.
the neighborhood where we grew up. That's why.
Right.
That's why we called it that.
And then I mistakenly, because it sounds like a string band name, I thought it was string band.
Oh, yeah.
But it isn't.
No, it's not.
Like in my mind, I put Mountain Hill String Band, and there is no string band.
You know, we've been together for 30 years now.
That's crazy.
And the name has caused a lot of, we have been called a lot of different things over the years.
Me too.
And but it's okay, you know, because it's at this point, you know, it's comfortable and
sure,
we're not going to change it.
As long as there's, how many bands around are Mountain or something? You're just, it's those guys.
Yeah,
right?
it's those guys.
Yeah, that's cool. So what do you play in the band?
I'm a guitar player in the band, electric guitar.
So you must be like the lead guy because
basically.
Yeah.
We have right now it's 4 pieces. Michael plays acoustic and some electric and does a lot of the lead singing.
Yep.
And then I play electric and do some singing as well. And then we have bass and drums.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember. I think you told me last week it was never an acoustic band. Or I'm still making that up. I'm still hung up on that.
Yeah, no. It was never an acoustic band, and I know it sounds like a bluegrass kind of name. And that's okay, but it was, you know, because who started it, the other guys in the band besides Michael, who you had are also Guilmettes. The drummer is my brother John Guilmette, and the bass player is my cousin Dan Guilmette.
Right.
And
how does Clara figure into this? Because she was on here.
Yes, John is Clara's father.
Okay, there
so
you go.
She's my niece.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Uncle Luke.
And when we that's right. And when we first started the band, also in the band playing fiddle was my uncle Don Guilmette.
Whoa.
And other than Michael, who's he's a city boy, he comes from downtown here. The 4 of us Guilmettes all lived on like Breezy Corner, Penfield Hill Road, right up there by Great Hill Mountain. So that's where the name came from.
That's how it happened. Yeah, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
You've got to be named after something.
That's right.
Yep. I would assume most people around here know what that means. I'm not from Portland. So,
right.
But they're like, it's those guys from over there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So tell me your version of the band. I got the whole band story last week.
What do you mean by my version of it? It was, I had been in a group and, I'd been in a few different groups and they come and go, you know how it is. Guys get together, you play for a bit, and then people drift away. And so I was looking to put something together again. And at the time, this was, 1993, and there was a burgeoning re-interest in country music.
I see.
And I had grown up. My father's a big Johnny Cash fan.
Right, sure.
I had grown up listening to that. And, and then my own rock and roll taste always drifted towards the southern side of things.
Sure.
Leonard Skinner and Marshall Tucker and Charlie Daniels and that kind of thing. And so I thought we could combine these things and be, and be a band playing, country music, but with more modern, more of a rock feel.
Sure.
So it just, started. I my brother was a drummer, and my cousin Dan had been playing guitar. They had a band, and it was kind of, breaking up. And so I hit them up, and they were willing to come play. And I talked to my Uncle Don, who was living, next door at the time. Or I should say I was living next door to him. I'm the guy who moved.
Yeah, right.
But because I knew he played fiddle, and he had played in different bands for years. And then he brought along his friend Mike, who at the time I had never met.
Yeah, right.
And so that was the start of it, and it came together, and we didn't plan on it lasting so long, but
yeah, right. Well,
it did.
Hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How did some of the Guilmettes end up more picking bluegrass and some didn't?
And it's just the way things go.
Just the way
sometimes, we had always had a bit of a bluegrass presence, I guess you could say.
Yep.
When I was young, when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, where we lived, my father's father, lived right next door, and he was a big bluegrass fan.
Oh, okay.
And he played guitar, self-taught, and my father had played guitar, self-taught, and my father was actually my first guitar teacher.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so from the time I was very little, but my grandfather next door had a bluegrass group that would come and rehearse in his basement.
Nice.
And so I used to walk next door at night, and I would sit and I'd listen to him play.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started playing guitar, they would let me. They didn't mind. I'd bring my guitar and I'd sit and I'd watch their hands and I'd follow along, and so it was always right there, know. And just for my brother, he and his family, picked it up and started going to festivals, and then Clara picked up the banjo, and so they just kind of went in that direction.
Yeah.
But it was always kind of there in the background.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Do you feel like I don't want to say I grew up in Wallingford, so I don't even know. But I mean, is Portland considered kind of rural in a way? Do you think that people are kind of more into that sort of thing, that, like you say, that there even was a bluegrass band back then?
Yeah.
Thread.
There is. I mean, certainly Portland has its rural areas.
Yeah.
And where we lived was one of them.
Yeah.
And I think when you're people, the thing about bluegrass music and older country music, not so much the newer stuff, but a lot of it, when you grow up close to the land. Sure. Right?
Sure.
There's a lot about that music that speaks to you. And while we were not like, we weren't farmers, in that sense. But again, when I was young, my father had a big garden, and my grandfather, they shared this space, and a large portion of our vegetables that we ate, we grew, and we raised chickens every year, and a lot of the chicken that we ate, we grew, and just doing a lot of that kind of stuff, you're kind of tuned into the cycle of the seasons and all of that, and music that's more rooted in that. It doesn't have to be about that, but I think people who have that sort of connection to nature, to the land, that more bluegrass, country, Americana kind of feel. I don't know. That's interesting. That's just the way I think about it. I don't know if it's true or not. But
right. So I wonder, how would you say with that theory that does the cyclical nature of the seasons, how does that reflect in the music, or it's just that you're at the mercy of the seasons? Is that?
Well, I think it's just that there's a naturalness to the music, right? Mm-hmm. I don't was a music teacher for a long time.
We're gonna get to, yeah.
I'm familiar with a lot of different types of music, and I'm not one of these people who's going to denigrate something else because it's not my thing.
Sure.
But I feel like when you're playing acoustic instruments, that natural just kind of coming together right? You come together at the end of the day, and you make music.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what rural people do.
Sure.
And this is the kind of music that they make.
So that's a tradition, is the coming together.
It's more of that. And even for me,
as opposed to what?
As opposed to
like city folk, what do they do?
Well, you don't necessarily have that same kind of, it's, how can I put it, sort of like ancestral memory, right?
Okay.
Of this is what our people kind of did.
Sure.
But when you
maybe city or more transient. So
well, and having more of a, you're going to get more appeal. You see, you watch a TV show, and they go into like this club, and it's got the pumping music, and the lights, and a lot of people, they get a lot of energy from that, and they're really, they really love it, and I just don't. To me, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't necessarily get what I react to either.
Yeah. Well, you guys are kind of in the middle, though.
We're kind of in the middle,
right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of, it's rock and roll. Like
it's more rock and roll than it is country, but it's even the rock and roll always has kind of there's that slight country edge to it.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah,
interesting.
I like it.
For country folk in Portland, is Middletown the big city?
If you make it there, kind of thing.
Right. I don't know. I'm just curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
Growing up in Wallingford was like, this is not going to work. I'm going to stop being distracted by this. Whoops. Because I just fixed it. I'm trying to lean. So what I'm doing, folks, I'm leaning against this mixer that we're not using, and it was crooked. Yeah. Now I can get my slouch on properly.
There you go.
Because like growing up in Wallingford was like more closer to New Haven than Hartford, but kind of like in the middle.
Right.
So New Haven was the big city.
Right. Yeah. I always, when I was like in high school or just out of high school and playing in bands, I dreamed of like, to me, like if we could go into Hartford and play one of the bars in Hartford, that was like the pinnacle.
Did you ever? You did?
Once.
Okay, because I played every bar in Hartford that's ever been.
I did it once, and we walked in. It was Chuck's Cellar in the Civic Center.
Yep.
We went in there. We got a gig in Chuck's Cellar. This is before the Great Hill Mountain Band. And we went in there. There were 5 of us in the band, and there were 4 people in the bar.
Yeah, sure.
And that was the one and only time.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going back to Portland.
That's right.
Well, that's cool, though. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Yeah. So you're part of the. Do you feel like you're part of the tradition in some weird? Do you think of it like that, or are you just doing?
I think of it in the sense of the tradition of again, that idea of music as a community thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And we do it, and I think the reason that the band works and has worked for 30 years, besides the fact that we get along very well,
which is rare,
and we're family and we're friends, and but this is kind of, for all of us, it's sort of our social outlet.
Right.
The way I describe it to people is, some guys are in a bowling league.
Right.
Some guys have a poker game.
Yep.
I'm in a band.
Yeah.
And we all feel that way, that this is the thing we like to do, is to make music together.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really, to me, that's what it is. And it's part of that tradition of, through time immemorial, of people getting together after the workday is done.
Sure.
And the instruments come out.
Yeah.
And, and that's what you do.
Right. Sure.
So just every now and again, we go do it in front of a crowd. You know?
Right. That's cool. And people know you by now, kind of around, right?
I would think so.
Play in your radius. I think last week, he was telling us that there was like over 100 places. Like he made a list.
We did. We made a list. Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you.
That's funny.
We've been talking. So the 30th anniversary of our first gig is coming up in April.
Okay.
April 13th.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
Now we're playing at the Winchester Cafe.
Sure.
On Sunday the 24th of March.
Okay.
So just under 2 weeks from now. And we're going to make that's kind of like our 30th birthday party, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, for 20 years at least, we had been talking about, we've never done merchandise of any kind. Well, we're
Yeah,
finally
you don't want to
doing
rush
it.
into things. Like
No. We had to let it percolate for a while.
Yeah.
But in the interest of the idea always was we were going to make a shirt and with the band name and logo on the front.
Sure.
But then on the back, we were going to just list all the places we've played. So we've kind of kept a running list.
Yeah.
And we added it up, and it's all there. And it coincidentally, pure coincidence, it's exactly 100 places
Wow.
that we've played in.
Including Chuck Seller?
No, because that was before this band.
Oh, right.
I've played in it,
sorry.
but this
Yep,
band did
yeah,
not.
I got you. Yep.
And a lot of them were one-time things, but some of them are places we've gone again and again.
It makes it onto the back of the shirt.
It made it on the back of the shirt.
It's kind of cool.
So yeah, it is cool. It's cool to think back. Jan, that's a lot of places.
Do you have any songs that are still on the set list from the third?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
A lot of them?
Yeah, we do. And there sometimes something will drop off for a while and then we'll resurrect it.
Yeah.
And come back. I don't like to. There's only so many songs you can play in a night.
Sure.
But I like to be able to keep it reasonably fresh for ourselves, for the people listening to us. And it's very easy to get into a groove, especially if you're gigging a lot, where you're not learning new stuff.
Sure.
And if you're not playing the old stuff, you might forget it, and you got it. So there's always this kind of tug, this give and take between bringing back something old we haven't played in a while,
sure.
learning something new we've never done before, and then there's things that we've been playing literally since day one.
Yeah, right.
So it's good.
I guess if it's not some things, if they're not broke,
that's right.
don't fix them.
That's right.
How did it all start for you musically? You said that your dad was your guitar teacher.
When I was a kid, my father played the guitar. And, at night he'd take his guitar out, he would play songs. He had a songbook he had typed up for himself.
Sure.
A lot of Hank Williams, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew and Your Cheating Heart and My Grandfather's Clock. Those kind of songs, and he had bound them in this
Sure.
Cardboard binding, right?
Yeah.
That you had these songbooks, and and I just liked it, and I wanted to learn to play, and I want to say I was probably 6.
Wow.
And he had
hey, let me try that.
Yeah. And I remember to this day, my first guitar lesson, he was trying to show me a D chord, showing me where to put my fingers. And the strings hurt my fingers. I cried. He yelled at me. That was the end of the lesson.
Oh, boy.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to do it, and I kept going. And I can remember being in second grade and getting up in front of my second grade class with a guitar and playing and singing a Johnny Cash song.
Whoa.
And
about prison.
Well, it was Casey Jones. Casey Jones, the train crash.
Yeah.
Is what it was. And then, but after that, my dad said something to me that kind of made all the difference in the world. He took me aside and said, we're going to send you for guitar lessons, like to a teacher.
Oh boy.
So, and I'm like, Dad, but I know how to play guitar.
Right.
Here I am. I'm 7 years old, right?
That's
I don't
pretty
need
good.
that. I know how to play.
Wow.
But he said something to me that's always stuck with me. He said, I never learned how to read music, and it limited me. He said, I don't want you to be limited.
Cool.
So, and I really think, and so there was that. So I started going to lessons, and then my mother and sisters were taking piano. And so I can remember laying in bed at night hearing my mother practicing piano.
Sure.
So there was music in the house.
Yep.
All the
time.
time.
And also you hear people practice and get results.
You hear people
and
practice,
move.
they get results, and I mean, I took guitar lessons from third grade till I graduated college.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where it began. And what was great about it.
So Dad must have been happy.
I think he was.
Because you were like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no thing about it. I know that he was.
Could you play everything in that folder? Did you ever?
At that
one day?
Oh
You
yeah.
took Dad's folder,
Oh yeah.
binder, and you're
Oh
like,
yeah. I used to I used to sit there and strum the chords and sing
cool.
the songs, and I knew them because I'd heard him singing them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I could sing along to them.
That's cool.
And it was awesome.
Nice. Where would you take lessons around here?
Honestly, my first guitar lessons with a guitar teacher were right here in the school.
Really?
Yeah.
From Dave?
No, it was before Dave.
Okay.
It was before Dave.
Okay.
It was a lady named Marie Reel.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was giving guitar lessons here, and I took lessons here from her for a while. And then she moved, and she had a house down Main Street near Gildersleeve School, and I went there for a while. And then from there, when I was in 8th grade, I went to over to Rivers Music at the time in Middletown.
Okay.
And Sal D'Alessandro taught me
before my time.
through 8th grade and through high school.
Yeah.
And then when I went to college, I majored in music, and you take lessons, and so I had a teacher there. Tom Warren was his name.
Where did you go?
Syracuse University.
Oh, wow. Good music department, I don't know.
So, yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Small music department, but, in a good university. I had a lot of opportunities there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
To play?
I was always, my guitar teacher called me the music school's utility infielder.
Oh, okay.
Because I was never the best guy at anything.
Okay.
But I could hang in a section with anybody.
Whoa.
And so,
Amen.
and I did a lot of different things. I was a guitar major, but I sang in choirs. I played bass in the orchestra.
Right.
I played saxophone in the wind ensemble and in the marching band. So like people knew if they needed a guy to come do just something to fill in a part, I could do it. I was never that lead guy, but I got a lot of experience playing in different types of situations.
Yeah. Well,
I
think that's important.
So I think so too.
Yeah. I'm a drummer, and it's like I feel like it like the drums, well, I suppose most people kind of get it, but some people don't. But like drums are an accompaniment instrument.
Yeah.
That's what they are. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so find yourself in situations, you need people that enhance the music or know what to do.
Right.
Let the stars be the stars or whatever.
Right.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How did saxophone start?
That was when I was in school, and it was time. I mean, I was a guitar player, and they don't have guitar in the school band.
Yeah, right, right, sure.
And
you gotta do something.
My mother had been in the school band, and when you were in 4th grade at the time, it was time to learn an instrument, and I was interested in the saxophone.
Okay.
And so I took lessons just through school.
Yep.
But I had a bit of a head start on the other kids because I'd already been taking guitar lessons for a year. I knew how to read music. I knew how to count.
And you're in treble clef.
So is the tenor sax is in treble clef. So I was able to just kind of pick that up and go with that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So there you are in there.
Yep.
Doing that too.
Yep.
Cool. What were your main interests in guitar up to school, and did school change? Like, what were you into?
School meaning college?
Yeah, like when you.
Yeah, before. I mean, like I said, when I was a kid,
Yep.
it was my dad, and it was the guys in my grandfather's basement, and playing, Hank Williams and Johnny Cash and all of that. And then when I got into middle school and started discovering rock and roll,
Sure, of course.
I gravitated. It was Leonard Skinner.
Oh, okay.
Not
Okay.
and that was starting in like 8th grade. I had been listening to it for a couple of years, but I started trying to play it.
Yeah.
And I remember taking a song over to, it was Give Me 3 Steps, taking it over to Sal D'Alessandro and him showing me some of the different licks and how to play them. And from then on, I mean, I'd just sit down in the basement and I'd play along with the,
of course.
Alan Collins was my idol. He plays the long solo at the end of Freebird.
Yeah.
And he was the guy.
Did he just die? Is he the one that died?
No,
last
that
year?
was Gary Rosington.
Okay,
But
okay.
Alan Collins died like 30 years ago plus.
Okay.
But I didn't, because I idolized Alan Collins, I used to imagine not being him, but playing on the stage with him.
Oh.
So I would learn all the
harmony
Gary
parts.
Rosington
Yeah.
parts. So I could pretend
Right.
that I was playing on stage with Alan.
Right.
And what's interesting
That's cool.
about
That's
that
funny.
is that if there's any one guitar player that my electric guitar style is most like, it's Gary Rosington. And it's not because he was my favorite. It's because I wanted to play with the other guy.
Yeah.
Right?
So was he the star? So once again, you're kind of the harmony player.
Well, they were. As a band, I mean, one of the great things about Skinner, they had 3 lead guitar players.
Okay.
And they really did pass things around. It's 3 different guys playing 3 different instruments, 3 different styles.
Wow.
So you could, when you kind of know what you're listening for, when you listen to the records, it's obvious immediately who's playing.
Well, that was going to be my next
and
question.
it's not a lead guy and a rhythm guy. It's 3 lead guys.
So they
taking
figured out their
turns.
thing.
And they did. And they did a great job with it. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
So there you were.
that's right.
You found one of them.
Yep.
Now here's a weird question. Why, when you saw is it your grandfather's band? Why didn't you look at the mandolin and go that? Like, you ever think about that?
I
Why?
think
Or whatever,
2 reasons.
the fiddle or whatever.
2 reasons. First of all, I was already playing guitar.
Oh,
But second of all, my dad played guitar,
Right.
and I wanted to do what he was doing.
yeah.
And that was, if my dad was a mandolin player, that's probably where I would have gone.
Gotcha.
You know?
Stupid question. All right.
But
Yeah,
it's,
cool.
there was no reason for it. Like, I never thought, to me, I wanted to play the guitar because I saw it in my house every night getting played.
Yeah, sure.
And I wanted to do that,
Sure.
So
then off you go to college.
Yeah.
How did that change your musical taste or?
It broadened it in the sense, when you're a guitar major in college, it's classical guitar. Okay. So it's wider neck, nylon strings.
And this is brand new for you?
Brand new. I'd never played classical.
Wow.
And I heard from my teacher, from Sal D'Alessandro. He told me, you're going to want to, and he gave me a couple pieces to learn that I fingerpicked,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But when I went for my high school graduation, my parents said, we're going to buy you a nice guitar that you can take off to college.
Okay.
So I went to the music store, played every guitar in the place.
Oh boy.
And there was one that just spoke to me. And it was an older Guild, big dreadnought guitar, beautiful sound. And they bought it, and I still have it. That's still the guitar
that's cool.
that I'm playing. But I went to college, and I went to my first college guitar lesson, and I opened up the case, all proud of my instrument, and the teacher looks at me and says, "So when are you going to get a real guitar?"
Oh no.
And I was crestfallen.
Oh.
But luckily, one of the other older guitar students was graduating to a fancy handmade. I mean, classical guitars.
Oh,
you
really?
can buy
Right, sky's the limit.
That small shaped nylon string guitar. You can buy them for $100. But the good ones are handmade, and they're thousands.
Sure.
Well, this guy it was a Yamaha classical, but it was top of the line for the not handmade guitars.
Right.
And I remember he sold it to me for $400, and which was most of the money I had for the semester.
Yeah.
But that was the guitar, and again, for classical guitar, that's still the one I play.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's cool though.
Yeah.
And then your guitar teacher was like, okay, here we go.
yeah, here we go.
Right.
But he had to teach me, as a musician, in terms of the development of my ears and my musical instincts and so forth. I was ready to be a college music major.
Okay.
But as a guitar player,
Right.
I was a rank beginner, as a classical guitar player.
I see.
So
Did you go with an eye for education? Is that
I went to college? My major was music education.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be a music teacher.
Okay.
And so, it was kind of a weird spot. I had the musical instincts. I had my ears were well developed.
Yep.
I could hear things. I could read very well. I could
Right, you could
count.
tell the guitar players in Skinner
But
apart.
exactly, which he wasn't so impressed by that.
Yeah.
But the technique, that finger style technique, and the way that you play classical was completely new and foreign to me. So it really opened my eyes a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did it enhance your other playing? I don't know enough about guitar.
I think so, because what it does is it makes you learn. You really learn the instrument.
Yeah, sure.
Instead of when you're 15 and you're just
Sure.
kind of feeling your way through it. Some chords and you learn some patterns of what you
Right.
can do with leads, but studying with Sal, what he had me doing, playing scales up and down the neck, and then playing classical and having to do all these different shapes that I'd never done before with my hands, and seeing how things related. You really learn the instrument and what is where.
Right.
And it just
Which is the point.
Which is the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool, though. So you're like finally tying it all together.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you wish that you had more or less on your own?
What do you mean?
Well, so you had kind of your figuring things out on your own and then going to school. Did you feel like you were behind or right on time, kind of?
I think
You know what I mean?
for me, for what I wanted to do and what I feel is important as a musician, I felt very much kind of like right where I needed to be.
Well, that's good.
I was ahead of a lot of kids in a lot of ways. I was behind them in a lot of ways, but the areas that were more important to me is where I was ahead. So it was, like I didn't want to be the soloist, playing the concerto in front of the orchestra.
Okay.
I wanted to be more just the well-rounded musician.
Okay.
And I was able to do that. And I credit the fact that I grew up with a foot in both camps. And there's a lot of musicians, very good ones, they're bound to that page. You take the page away from them,
I got you.
They don't know what to do.
Right.
And there's also a lot of very good musicians that when you put the page in front of them, now they don't know what to do.
You know the joke, right?
Yeah, well, I know.
How you get a guitar player
to stop. Yeah, exactly.
Put music in front of them.
Put sheet music in front of them.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough, because of how I grew up, that I always had a foot on each side of that line.
Yeah, sure.
And so I could hang with the more classical ones in that sense, because I had that reading, book background.
Yep.
But I could also improvise, and I could play by ear, and I could figure things out listening. I could follow,
Making yourself even more valuable.
and
more valuable.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so you finished school and you're like,
Yep.
okay, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
How did it all start?
How did
Like, so then now you got your degree in music education.
I got my degree in music education?
I don't know what happened because I never
It was-
got my degree in music education.
All right.
So I don't know.
It took me, I will admit, if my mother hears this, I will admit
Oh boy.
that it took me a little longer than it should have.
Oh.
But I got it in the end. And I started teaching. I got a job. What I wanted to do, I wanted to conduct a high school band.
Oh, okay.
So I got a job at Xavier High School, split between Xavier and Mercy. I was
Sure.
there for 3 years.
Wow.
And then I moved to Meriden.
Okay.
And was at a middle school there for 3 years.
Wow.
And then I went to Platt High School and in Meriden, and I've been there ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you start? So what is the title? Band director?
Well, it was the title. I actually am no longer a band director.
Okay.
I 3 years ago, I made a decision to leave the music department, and I moved into the math department.
Oh, wow.
So I actually teach math full time now.
Oh,
but
wow.
I taught music for 26 years.
Wow.
And I was the band director there for about 20 years.
Wow.
Yep.
So you did the thing. You did what you set out
I
to do.
did what I set out to do.
Was it
Yep.
cool?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May I
Yeah,
ask
it was
why
great.
you decided to move to math?
There are a lot of reasons. Some of it is just that, even though it was the thing that I wanted to do, I had got there and I had done it.
Yeah, sure.
And after 20 years, there wasn't going to be anything new, to do it.
Gotcha.
And there was a bit of me that had an itch to want to do something new, have a new challenge.
Yeah.
Part of it too, frankly, when you are a teacher, you have bosses.
Sure.
And the bosses...
I don't. Well, I do. He's right. He's over there.
The bosses get to decide how things need to be.
Sure.
And the bosses had a very different opinion of what was the appropriate role for the band than I did.
Okay.
And I had to do it their way.
Yep.
I didn't really care for it as much. So, it was kind of two things.
Over time?
Yeah, it happened over time.
Okay.
It happened over time. And
so administrations change or whatever.
Administrations change, and people come in, and sometimes you just need to, I liked the school, I liked the people I worked with.
Sure.
I liked the kids, liked everything about that. But I couldn't be the teacher I wanted to be.
Okay.
And so I moved upstairs.
So how is that rare? I don't know anything about it. So a math minor? Like, what did you do? How do you become?
Well, in my case,
yeah,
it was just that there's a teacher shortage in the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
And the way that it works is if you're normally to get a teaching certificate in a subject, there's two things you got to do. You have to go to college and you have to take enough classes in that area and show on your transcript, I took this many classes in this.
Sure.
Then you have to pass a test. Okay. That shows you actually learned the stuff. But right now in Connecticut, there are a lot of areas where there are shortages of teachers.
Okay.
And in those areas, if you already have a teaching certificate in something, they waive the part about having to show your transcript. All you have to do is pass the test.
Okay.
And I had always enjoyed math, and I liked math, and I was good at math.
Okay.
So I studied up for the test. I took the test. I passed. I got the certificate.
They said you're a math teacher.
You're a math teacher now.
How rare is it for you to switch complete departments and positions in the same school? Is that like hitting the bullseye, or was it? In my school, other people have made similar moves in recent years. Yeah.
There's a couple of guys who were teaching like in the wood shop area.
Yeah.
One of them was an English teacher and the other one was science. But there was a major shortage in this, and so they made that move that way.
Okay, so the shortage is...
There are shortages in a lot of areas. So it's more common now than it used to be.
Okay.
But it's still not that common.
But you managed to...
I managed.
At the right time.
At the right time.
Did they bring in the band director from outside?
When I moved? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they hired a new guy.
Okay, so they were just like, all right, everybody's going to...
Yep.
And this guy...
A math guy retired. I took his place. They hired someone else to take my place.
Wow.
And we move on.
Would you have taken a math job anywhere else?
Probably not.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay, so you just like,
no.
Is this going to happen?
I didn't want to leave. I really like the people I work with.
Okay.
I like the kids. I like the school.
So you lucked out.
So, yeah.
It happened.
Yeah, I got lucky. Somebody retired.
Yeah, that's cool.
At a right time.
Hey, these things happen.
Yes, they do.
And you're happier now.
And I'm very happy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
What year? How does it work? I don't remember. In high school, what do you teach? Math.
It's this year I'm teaching geometry and I'm teaching SAT prep classes.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of sophomores and juniors.
Right. Yeah.
But in the past couple of years I've done a couple other things too.
Okay.
Whatever they need me to do in the given year.
Because if you were me, you would take Algebra 1A for 2 entire years.
Yes.
Yeah, because I completely failed.
Yeah, that's okay.
I now, it doesn't even matter. Now I realize as I get older, I might have had a learning disability of some kind.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it through.
Yeah.
That's all I need to do.
Yeah, and then I'll be a drummer. I can count to 4.
That's right.
Yeah, Algebra 1A.
Yeah.
Algebra 1A, sophomore year, same desk, same. Everybody's older but me.
Right.
Somehow passed, then geometry.
Yeah.
Failed again.
Yeah.
But whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's fine.
all right.
Not my thing, but
That's all right.
we managed somehow. You know, so happier doing it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
You have cruise by the band hallway every once in a while. And
Well,
reminisce, or-
I still actually teach one class in music.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah. Because so I go
And
down
the new
there.
guy's cool. Like you
Yeah,
guys,
the new guy's cool. He's a nice guy. He's doing
Yeah.
a good job.
nice,
So yeah, it's all good.
cool.
It's all good.
When you were band director, because I just remember from my old days at Sheehan High in Wallingford.
Yeah.
So you got to do concert band and marching band.
Yep.
You got to do both.
Yeah.
Did you, because I honestly have no disrespect, but shout out to Mr. Charles Houlihan, was my band director
Okay.
in Sheehan in the 80s.
Oh, I know Charlie.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. Not well, but I know
Wow.
who he is.
Yeah, yeah.
I know
I
who he
feel
is.
like I now realize as the years go by that his strength was in the I don't think he really cared about the marching
Yeah,
band.
and that was me too.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
much
wonder
more
how
of
that
a
goes.
I'm much more of a concert band guy, and it was actually in that when I say that there was a difference of opinion, the school, the district wanted to put much more of a focus on the marching band.
Oh, so these things
and
happen.
that's what I
Sure,
disagreed with, and
Sure, sure.
and that's why it ended up going. But yeah, no, you did both.
Yeah, yeah.
You did both, and it's it's fine. There's nothing wrong with marching band. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it wasn't the thing that I
Sure.
wanted to focus on.
Sure. Sure.
But I'm much more, I'm happiest as a music teacher on the podium conducting the ensemble,
Yeah.
playing together. So
That's cool.
yeah.
So it worked out like you pictured it. It went like
Oh
you-
yeah. Yeah, it did, and it was great for 20 years.
Wow. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn, I would imagine, you got to play a little bit of everything when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
an educator. So
Yeah,
you can-
you do,
kinda
and
pick
that's
up whatever.
what you learn in college. You take classes to learn all the different instruments.
yeah.
The way I described it to people is when I was taught middle school, I could play everybody's instrument better than they could.
Yeah, right.
Okay. In high school, that's not true.
Right. There's some there's some
In
kids
high
that are
school,
first chair clarinet.
in
They're-
high school, I could play better than certain kids on certain
Right.
things. But for the most part, they all played their instrument better than I could.
Well-
but I could pick up anything and play a scale, play a simple melody.
Sure.
So,
but most importantly, you understand.
but
you can.
but I understand how it works, so I can tell them when they're having a problem. I can say, well, you got to do this.
Well, that's
You know,
that's your
that's
job.
that's what you're there for.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep,
That's exciting.
it is.
How many more are you counting down the years to retire?
I wouldn't say I'm counting down, but I recognize that there's a lot more behind me than in front of me. In work and in life, but that's yeah. I mean, the time's going to come. I don't know when that is.
Sure.
I'm not burned out by any stretch. I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
I imagine I'll be doing it for a good number of years to come.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Were you working the day when the airplane landed? Do you remember that? I was teaching at JC in Wallingford, and the power went out.
Okay.
There was a plane that was trying to land over in Meriden. I think
Okay.
they landed on Platt's football field, or did I imagine the whole thing?
Jeez, I don't know. I don't remember that. So
boy.
that was probably
Maybe
before
I'm
my
right.
time.
Yeah, maybe. That was funny.
So I didn't start at Platt till 2001. So
Oh, yeah, I
So-
don't remember when that was. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what's next? You're
What's-
just more of the same. You're
more
just
of the
going to
same.
do it, just banging
more
it
of
out.
the same. Yeah.
Playing in
Playing in the band.
Yep.
We've
Yep.
got some gigs coming up.
Cool.
Here in these next few months, we're learning some new songs.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable. It's what we do. Like I said before, that's the social outlet. That's what we get together
why not?
and we play music.
Why not?
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that's
fun
cool.
thing.
Yeah. Sounds good. Getting close. Wrap up
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we did not touch on that you want to talk about off the
I
top
don't
of
know.
your head?
Not off
That
the
you're
top of
going
my
that you're
head.
going to go, "Oh man, I should have."
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, I didn't come in with any plan to talk about anything. I was going to see what you said and and answer it from there.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But
Okay.
no, it's been, I will tell you this.
Yep.
It has been, I feel, a pleasure and a privilege to grow up in this town.
Hey.
The education that I got at Portland High School that my kids got at Portland High School.
Yeah.
To have, we are very lucky as a band, to grow up in the family that I did. My dad playing music, my mom playing music.
Yeah.
Learning as much as I did from both of them.
So you can do it in Portland. You can do it.
Can do it, and not for nothing, having the Winchester Cafe right down the road, because I've talked to a lot of musicians who play in all kinds of different places, and everybody says the same thing. It's one of the best, if not the best, places to play.
Yeah, right.
And it just happens to be the hometown place.
Yeah, right.
Where I would go anyway.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah. And so we've been very lucky in that regard too, that we had right in our backyard the best venue we could have to do what we do.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
So
yeah, you can't beat that.
So I feel, I'm very grateful. I'm grateful with my friends, relatives, bandmates.
Yep.
The guys I play with. Love playing with them. Grateful to my family, my wife Christine, my 3 daughters. They're have always been very supportive, allow me to do this kind of thing.
You did it all from here.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
Shout out to Portland.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know that we had that in Wallingford that I remember. Although I did have I had a really good we had, do you remember, did you ever hear of Fred Rosamondo?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I knew Fred.
Dude,
he was, when I started teaching at Xavier, he was the band director at Sheehan.
Oh,
so
okay.
I knew him for a while there.
Yeah, he was the band director of Moran when I came through,
Yep.
and it made all the difference in the entire world.
Yep.
He just was like...
Well, I will say this, my band director in 8th and 9th grade here in Portland was a guy named Bill Peters.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he passed away a number of years ago, far too young, but he was the guy. That's why I wanted to be a high school band director.
Yeah, right, sure.
I wanted to be like Mr. Peters.
Hey, there you go.
And the last time I saw him was the first time we ever met as colleagues.
Hey.
We met at a function. He was the teacher for he taught at Platt.
Oh, okay.
And,
wow.
And,
so you were literally
So I'm in his footsteps there. And I was at Xavier and we met as colleagues the first time, and he had an accident and he passed away shortly thereafter.
Oh,
but
no.
it was awesome to be able to meet him. The guy.
And
that
of course,
made
he
me
said, "I don't remember
want
you."
to do this.
Imagine he didn't.
Oh
remember
no,
you.
no. He did. He was he was a great guy and a great inspiration to me.
That's fantastic.
So
yeah, that's cool. And hopefully, there's got to be some kids in all your years out there.
So
feel the same way
there are
about
some. You. There are a number of former students of mine who are now teaching in schools around Connecticut and elsewhere,
Hey.
and it makes me very proud to see them doing that and to kind of keep an eye on their careers.
That's great. That's
So,
great.
Yeah.
Do you know? I'm trying to think of who I know out there. You know Justin Piccirillo. You know?
Oh, yeah.
him? Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was here. I
Yeah.
had him on here. Cool. I'm trying to think of my
I know
memory.
Justin. He worked. I worked with him. He was taught art at Platt, and actually his younger brother Dana was one of my students.
Okay. There you go.
So yeah, I know the Piccirillos.
Cool. All right. Wacky. Have you ever watched the show? This show?
I honestly have not.
Oh, okay. So you don't.
I'm
know
gonna
what-
have. I'm
so
gonna
you don't
have
know
to
what's
start.
coming. So you
I'm
don't
gonna
know-
have to start. No, I don't know what's coming.
All right. So they didn't tell you about the pie fight that each show ends with, that Dave comes through the door with.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right.
I'm good with that. I'll tell you what. I've been wanting to pie Dave for a lot of years.
Get in line.
A lot of years.
Get in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. So yeah, I just have these wacky wrap-up questions.
Sure.
That give us a sense of maybe a different perspective on your identity. So I've been second guessing. I guess people could comment on. I have this thing of like desert island albums, and then people are like, they get hung up on was there electricity? I just mean favorite albums.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Favorite albums. I can tell you. How many do I get? Because I got a lot of favorites.
You could. I don't care. I mean,
I got a lot of favorites.
Five.
Okay. Leonard Skinner's live album, One More from the Road.
Sure.
It's awesome.
I can picture it right now.
Okay. Any of the first 3 albums by the Outlaws, They're all perfect.
Okay.
Any one of those.
Okay.
You know, I wouldn't take all. If I could only take 5, I'd have to go with one. Probably the first one.
Okay.
Charlie Daniels has a string of albums in the mid '70s that are all amazing.
Yep.
And then here's a couple that I would take that are completely off the topic, but that I love and would bring with me. Iron Maiden, Live After Death.
Sure.
Love Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
I'm not a heavy metal guy, but I
Right.
love Iron Maiden.
Sure.
And then something by the Tower of Power,
Oh yeah, sure.
because they're a fabulous band, and I like them as well.
Yeah.
So
Why not?
yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah.
So Iron Maiden, the guitar harmonies, maybe that's your thing.
Yeah,
That'd be
and
your
that's I got into them, and I've never really been into them. I just I have a couple of their records, and I like what I hear. But when I was in high school, a buddy of mine was going to the concert, and he was supposed to take his girlfriend, and something happened, and the girlfriend couldn't go. So I went with him,
That might tie into the
and it was the Power Slave tour that they recorded later for the album Live After Death. So that album is basically the show
That's
I saw,
what- So
and
that's
we
your
had
jam.
great seats right down on the floor, New Haven Coliseum, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was
Killer.
awesome. So
All right. Well, we're going to get back to that.
okay,
So question 2.
yeah,
Desert island food, because I find this fascinating. I don't know why.
desert island food.
Like what could you
I'm
eat
gonna-
every day and be like, I'm good. This is good.
Oh, chicken parm. of
Oh,
course.
okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things I could eat every day,
No.
but I would say a lifetime supply of chicken parm, and since we miraculously have a record player, we also miraculously have a freezer because
Right.
ice cream,
Oh, okay.
chicken parm and ice cream.
Okay.
Those are perfect foods
Gotcha.
that should be consumed in large quantities at all
Gotcha.
times.
Any particular ice cream flavor? I don't care about ice cream. I'm just
Vanilla.
curious. Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Just that's it.
Good vanilla.
Okay.
Can't beat a good vanilla.
Okay. Yeah, I could get into that.
Yeah.
I hear you. Is there a particular? I think you might have already answered this question, and that's what I'm struggling with. Is there a particular concert or show that you saw that changed your trajectory instantly that you can think of, or a few?
I can think of a couple.
Yep.
One that I saw, I wouldn't say necessarily that changed my trajectory.
But blew your mind.
Clearly, that Iron Maiden one did.
Sure.
When Leonard Skinner reformed after the plane crash, and they went out 10 years later on the tribute tour.
Okay.
I got tickets to see them, and they had been, at the time I was 17, and I'd been listening to them. It sounds like such a short time now. I'd been listening to them for 5 years, but
Yeah.
it was nonstop
Yeah,
for
yeah.
5 years.
Sure.
And I never thought I'd be able to do it. And I'll tell you what, whenever that those first bars of Working for MCA hit, and the lights go up, and there's the stage looking just like the cover of One More from the Road, and there's all those guys out there that I never thought I saw.
Wow.
I cried like a baby. I was sobbing in my seat,
Yep. Yep.
at these grizzled old guys playing. It was something. And
Where was it?
New Haven Coliseum.
Okay, sure. Back
Yeah.
in the day.
And then the third one I'll mention, I saw not long before he died, Stevie Ray Vaughan at Lake Compounce.
Ooh.
And now
Sure.
I've never been a big blues guy,
Okay.
right? But I like Stevie Ray. I went to see him just because,
Sure.
I wanted to see him.
Yeah.
He just blew me away with his playing. I was sitting there just by the end of the night. It was like, come on, Stevie, play something that shows you're human.
Yeah.
It was just
Sure.
he was playing guitar. It made me think like he's playing the stuff that I kind of got somewhere in me, but I'm not good enough to play.
And he went
and
all the way.
I could recognize it. I could recognize that this guy's got it going on.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, I bet.
And
Yep.
it's not, I don't own any of his records. I don't play any of his songs,
Sure.
but I saw that concert, and man, was he good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a music freak. I like all kinds of things, but even as a drummer, I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. I know every, like that was a guitar player that made an impression on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Oh no. Oh, I had a new question and I forgot it.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah. Well, here's kind of one. I don't know. I mean, some people are, some people aren't. But I just curious. Movies.
Yeah.
Movies. Some of your favorite flicks.
I'm not a huge movie guy.
Yeah.
I can remember, I'm old enough, I'm just old enough that I can remember seeing Star Wars when it first came out.
Yeah, me too.
But it wasn't when it first came out. I mean, this was back in the day. Nowadays, a movie is in the theaters for like 2 weeks and it's gone.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Star Wars was in the theaters for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it came out, I know now that it came out in May when I was in 2nd grade.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't see it till like the following fall, like September or something.
Yeah.
And my dad one day said, hey, you want to go to the store, take a ride? Sure. So I get in the car. And I remember it was on the Berlin Turnpike. It's where Lowe's is now, on the Berlin Turnpike in Newington. That used to be a movie theater. And we kind of crest the hill, and there's the big marquee, Star Wars.
Oh,
and
boy.
we pull in. That's when I knew we were going, and I was so excited. And I'll never forget when the lights went down and you heard the 20th Century Fox theme, and then that first chord of that overture to Star Wars.
Sure.
It's, that memory going there with my dad, seeing that movie. I've never been a huge movie guy. I'm going on Friday to see the new Dune. I like science fiction, but I don't go a lot.
Yeah.
But I remember that going to see Star Wars that first time,
That's
7
cool.
years old.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah. It's not really my thing.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Not a problem.
Yeah. I remember, I was just telling Dave, we were joking about this before. It's the only reason I bring it. I'm just not a science fiction. I remember, and I remember just going, when's this over?
Right.
Like, I already was like
Right.
done with it, but
Right.
I'm not like other people, I guess.
Yep.
But that's why there's something for everybody.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All right. I think that's cool. I feel like I missed a question, but I don't remember.
That's all right. I'll leave you my number, and if you remember,
Yeah, right.
call me up on the way home, and I'll answer it for you.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I
of course.
appreciate it.
Right? Yeah. We got it. So plug the anniversary show where you can get the T-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. You can get the
Right?
T-shirt. They'll
Right.
be there.
Right.
So I promise.
With 100.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
With 100 venues on the back.
100 venues.
Sunday, March 24th, Winchester Cafe here in Portland.
Yep.
4:00 in the afternoon.
Now, here's a dumb question that
Yeah.
maybe Portlandites might know that I don't know. Is the Winchester been owned by the same person all this time?
As long as it's been the Winchester Cafe, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's a lady named Donna. She owns it. She took it over. Her dad used to run it as a diner, breakfast lunch place called
okay.
Waltz.
Okay.
And then when he retired, she took it over and turned it into the Winchester Cafe.
Okay.
And that was 1982, and she's run it ever since.
Hey, far out. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I know of it, but I don't know the history.
It's a beautiful place. You should go.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll go to the thingy. Although it's going to be that's going to be a mop scene, right?
We're hoping it will be. Yeah. It's people know who we are, and a lot of people go anyway. That's one of the things that's great about playing at the Winchester.
It's like old school.
Is that people just like to go to that place. And they don't necessarily say, "Oh, I'm following this band and I'm going to go." They go there because they know there's going to be a band. Donna has a good ear. She hires good bands.
Right.
People know it's going to be good. And if you're good and they have fun, they're going to like you.
That's the way it
Nobody's
should be.
got an agenda other than we're going to have a good time.
Far out.
And so yeah.
Cool. I
So
like it.
With any luck, it will be obnoxiously crowded and hot. That's what we're looking for.
Hey, that's the way I like my women.
So
Obnoxious and hot.
yeah.
I don't know. Why would I say that? That's terrible. All right. Nice. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming.
Thank you very
Luke
much for
Guilmette
having
was
me.
here. Luke Guilmette was here. Right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to press the button. There's going to be loud rock music.
All right.
There we go. Hey, John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Go through one set of lights. If you're coming over the bridge, of course, if you're coming from the Winchester, take a right at the CVS or whatever, right? Okay. Pull a Yui, park in front of the music store with the red neon light. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Come be on the show with me. And also, stay tuned. Dave will tell you how to have your very own podcast here in your beautiful studio. How many episodes are you up to, Dave?
On my careers podcast?
Yeah.
77.
Whoa. See, Dave is up to 77.
You're 170.
170 something. Unbelievable. They said it would never last. All right, kids. Thanks a lot. Thank you for coming. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Take care. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.